Welcome back. I'm working on the Donna quilt. You can see it right here. I got it from the Quilted Cow and a 3-yard kit in Valentine's Day fabric. So I made these little snowballed blocks in the previous video, and now I'm going to make some smaller double blocks. Right, so in the pattern it has us cut out some 9.5 by 3.5 inch blocks. Then it also has us cut out some width of fabric by 3.5 inch strips. And we're going to sew these 3 strips together because eventually we're going to cut them again into 3.5 by 9.5 inch units. Now remember, I said these are 3.5 inches. So when you sew things together, you end up with a little bit of a seam allowance. So you're taking a 1/4 inch seam, and that means you're taking a 1/4 inch from each side of the fabric. So you're going to lose a little bit. So I'll show you how that looks here in just a second, and we'll do the next step. One of the things I was telling you was each of these strips were 3.5 inches long, and then I sewed them together. Well, then they got a seam allowance, and I ironed open this seam just to kind of demonstrate it some more. The end result is a 9.5 by 3.5 inch strip that I cut. I'm using this cool little square ruler to demonstrate. So 3.5, 3.5, 3.5. If you add that together, that's 3, 6, 9. The half is 10, and then another half, right? But then when we sewed them all together, we lost that 1/4 inch seam, but you didn't just lose 1/4, you lost 2/4. So you lost a 1/4 on this side, you lost a 1/4 on this side, and the same down here. So if I lose a 1/4 and a 1/4, that's a half, and a 1/4 and a 1/4, that's a half. So I went from 10.5 down to 9.5. Fun quilters math. All right, so I have made my strips. They look like this. I've ironed them flat. Now I'm going to cut them into some 3.5 inch rows. Now I use my ruler, I use my mat, other people use their ruler. So I'm going to move that down, make sure it's all even. 1, 2, 3, and I need a half. So I use my ruler to kind of line up that half, and I make sure that everything is squared up before I do my cut. And then zoop! Now I've got 2 3.5 inch cuts. Stay tuned for the next step. That'll be in a separate video on how to assemble these cool blocks.